Hello again, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Aish.
Hi everyone, I'm Drishti and we are going to walk you through WhatsApp automation and marketing using chatbots.
But before we kick this webinar off, we have a little game for all of you. So this webinar is going to be scattered with puns and references to your favorite brands. Keep account for each reference that we drop, and the person with the highest tally will get access to our exclusive ebook, The Evolution of Customer Experience. Let the games begin.
Yes, so good luck to you all. Aish, before we begin, let me ask you this. How was your Black Friday shopping experience?
Oh, yeah, it was fantastic. It was so great. I visited so many stores from my room.
I know, right?
To be honest with you, and this stays between us, I actually skipped out on it this year. The thing is, for me, Black Friday is all about the in store claustrophobia and the happiness I feel when I'm about to check out and I see the discounts rolling in. While the stores I usually go to offer online shopping, I kind of feel like they ghosted me since the pandemic started. All of them went radio silent during Black Friday, so I didn't even know that they offered discounts. What about you?
Well, actually, I had a fantastic Black Friday.
I'm so glad and also extremely jealous.
Well, that's what happens when businesses use Engati, the world's leading multilingual no-code digital CX platform. It's available across 14 chats channels with 45,000 solutions created across 186 countries in every domain and use case, like e-commerce and marketing as well.
Oh, wow. So tell me, what made this Black Friday so fantastic?
Well, it all started with a message. So, what if I tell you that the stores that you regularly buy from come and tell you that they have a huge sale going on right now? What would you do?
You know what, Drishti? I would drop everything right now and head straight to the mall.
Right? And now with the holiday season coming up, if they send you a WhatsApp message saying that they have offers running and that you could make a purchase directly from your phone. So I guess you would choose that over anything else.
That would actually be extremely helpful. Hunting for discounts is already a task, and that with stressful shopping, impossible. With this, I could just do it from my phone. If that happened, opening that WhatsApp message would be like opening happiness.
You know what, Aish? You will definitely receive such messages because you're worth it.
You flatter me, and I'm loving it. But seriously, it's a really good way of letting the customer know that if there are new things happening in your store or if you have an offer going on, that brand would always be on my mind. But it's impossible for a person to sit and send these messages to every single customer, right?
Well, impossible is nothing. Like, if you have the right tools at the right time, life's good. So, with the Engati WhatsApp chatbots, you can place an order, check the delivery status, ask that if the product is available, check out the pricing, and whatnot.
Wow, that kind of system sounds simply intelligent. WhatsApp certainly seems like the happiest place on earth. But how can brands implement this solution?
You know what, Aish? Actually, I'll let the guest handle this question better. So, today's guest is Jerome Linden, who is a CEO and founding partner of Bot Implementation Institute. BII helps companies establish personalized one on one conversations with their audience. Jerome is a highly experienced marketer, bot designer, and a self proclaimed bot evangelist. He is the best the crowd can get today.
Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction, Dristi. So, thank you everybody for joining. As Dristi already said, I'm CEO for Bot Implementation, and BII. What we do is we help companies establish one-on-one conversations with their clients. So this is really what we see as the next way, the next means of engagement, of consumer engagement. Now, in order to do that, what we use is a very simple approach, which is we use our bot implementation formula, and you can imagine where the name is coming from. Now, our formula consists of 5 key stages, and it's basically 1, we start with the discovery. From the discovery, we look at the design. From the design, we go to the implementation stage. And from implementation, we go to deploy. And last but not least, we look at measure. So with each of these stages, basically, we have a foolproof roadmap for implementing bots in a successful way. So when we look at, for instance, the discovery, what we're seeing in a lot of cases is that actually at this stage, a lot of companies start a project, but they don't really know why. So what we're trying to answer in this stage is really, why do you want a bot? What are you starting with? What is the objective, ultimately, what you're trying to do? Now, at this stage, what we do is we look at the as-is situation. We look at who's your current audience, who's your audience that you want to engage with. And then on top of that, what we look at is where in your customer journey, where in the customer journey of your audience are you actually engaging with that consumer. Now, from there, we look at what is the overall business objective. So why does the company want to start with chatbots? There needs to be a very clear reason. Now, in the case of, for instance, the conversation that we've seen with Aish, basically there we see a clear pain point. We see a clear gap in the overall engagement that the company has with their audience. So here we have a clear opportunity to move forward and engage and enhance the overall customer journey that we have. So we look at the as-is situation, and then we start building the to-be situation, taking into account all the information that we've learned in that company. When we have defined that, what we do is we move on to the next stage. And only then we start looking at the design of the bot. And in the design stage of the bot, we look at three key things. One is persona. Now, we've identified our audience already, but what we don't have yet is the person or the image that is representative of our audience. For instance, if we take, for instance, Aisha again as an overall example, here we have a very clear profile where we say, okay, she's, for instance, married, she has 1 kid, 2 kids, etc. She's a regular to the fitness studio. And on the basis of that, you have a very clear profile in terms of how you engage and what their needs and requirements are for that audience. Then the key trick is to build a bot that actually resonates with that audience. Consider it as, for instance, a dating game. You sit together, and basically, if there's no resonance between the two personas, on the one hand, Aish, and on the other hand, the bot, you will never have this engagement with this optimum, and this is actually what you're trying to achieve. So it's really crucial that when you look at your audience persona, you look also at your bot persona, because the bot persona ultimately will determine the character, the way of responding, the way of engaging with that audience, and at the same time, the type of language that they're using. When you have that defined, you're on to the next stage. And the next stage is really about building that conversation, building that engagement, taking one element, one conversation that you've identified in the customer journey, and really start building it out. Really start, how do we get to the ideal mode of turning Aish from a lead into a consumer? And here, usually what we do is we do the back-to-back approach. Now, it's a little bit difficult in coronavirus situation, but what we try to do is you do a back-to-back conversation in terms of really coming out to what is a natural conversation, what is a natural engagement that you have with your consumer. When you have that, when you map it out on a basically high-level conversation, mid-level conversation, and low-level conversation, a detailed conversation, you have the full roadmap of your conversation. However, what you don't have yet is your bot. And then you come to the technology. Only when all this is done, you look at the technology. And the technology is crucial. It's your platform for engagement. It's ultimately, it captures, one, your channel, and two, it captures your platform that needs to be future-proof as well. And keep in mind, your audience tends to change. Your audience is engaging continuously. They're changing their behavior continuously as well. So it's really crucial having a platform like what we've seen with Engati, where you have multiple channels in one, but at the same time, you have the flexibility of adjusting and continuously improving and growing with the business. When we've chosen our platform, we start into the third phase, which is implement. Implement is really about, as the name it says, you start implementing your conversations in a bot. And this is really about building that engagement with the small teams and really seeing how that engagement is. Is it natural? Is it not natural? And so on. And keep in mind, it's not an email. So what a lot of failures are, what a lot of issues are that we see is when people are basically taking the normal email conversations and just building it in a bot. Then you get the massive messages and so on as well. So it's really about finding that ideal point of conversation with the consumer. And from the implementation stage, when you're happy when everything works, you go to the deploy stage. And as the name says, you're deploying the bot. And here it's really about going full breach, going towards the full audience as well. And then we come to the last stage. And the last stage is really crucial, and which is forgotten in a lot of cases. It is about measuring effectively what you've been trying to do. Is the engagement, is the conversation resonating with the audience, yes or no? And what we do here usually is we do a conversation health score. So what we build is the ideal path that the consumer would run through your bot. And you give a certain rating to that. And with that, you automatically see whether that conversation path is run or whether basically the consumer is stopping at a certain point, and you already know that one, it's not really an ideal lead, but at the same time, the conversation is not bringing the necessary information at the right place. So it's really this continuous improvement cycle that you're going to have when you build conversations. And when you have all that done, you move to the next conversation. Because what is really crucial, and what people tend to forget, and I think a lot of companies see that as well, they start really big and then basically try to build every solution into it as well. And this is really about breaking your problem and breaking your solution down to itty-bitty little items that are manageable and that are basically approachable in order to move forward. And from there, you have ultimately the overall solution, which is an ideal framework in order to build your bot. Now, if you guys want to have a little bit more information on this one, what you see in the comment box is a link to our website. Our website is botimplementation.com. And basically on that website, you'll have a mini course, which we've made available for all the listeners here. It's a free mini course. Simply log on, you'll go through a bot, a basic bot that we've built in order to have that overall discussion, but also see the videos and so on as well. And if you're interested from there on, let's contact us and we're happy to have that discussion with you. Aish, back to you.
Definitely, Jerome. Definitely check it out, all of you. It's going to be an incredible course and you're going to learn a lot. So thank you so much for your insights. If you have any questions for Jerome, feel free to ask them in the Q&A section and we'll get back to you. So now that you know why you need to implement a chatbot, let's begin with the bot building demo. Drishti, take it away.
Yes. We might pause for some questions, and as we are pausing for the questions, I would request people to go to www.engati.com and start registering.
So Jerome, our audience's question for you is, how can we calculate our conversation health score?
It depends really on the type of conversation that you want to build. When you look, for instance, what we do is we give a rating to each step in the conversation. Yeah, when you look at a conversation, you have an overall flow. Now, when you have when your bot is a lead magnet, when you're trying to convert a lead into a consumer, ultimately the purpose is to keep the consumer or the lead in the bot and basically give as much information to them and build this rapport, build this engagement with them. However, when you're a customer service bot, it's the reverse. It's ultimately you're trying to get that consumer to the ideal map. So basically the only thing what I can advise you to, and it really depends on the situation and the purpose that you're trying to build with a bot. What I can advise you is to, when you build a bot, you can give a rating basically to each individual step. And on that basis, you will have an ideal, what in your mind is an ideal roadmap. You will then have, let's say, 100%. Where you see different roadmaps, it is considerably less. And then ultimately, when the data comes in, you can see already whether you need to adjust your roadmap or whether the consumer is actually happy and there is a clear point moving on with a very much shorter timeline. So it's really depending on the situation that you have, basically.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing your answer, Jerome. Gordon, I hope that helps you out.
We have another question coming in that somebody is asking, how can we use it for query management?
It's the same story. It's ultimately the main purpose. The main objective is identify what the purpose is that you're trying to achieve. Yeah, which is, in this case, query management is you want to provide a certain amount of information to a consumer. You know what they want. For instance, they need to know where your next store is. Then ultimately, you know that that is the end result. Yeah? From there, ultimately, you look at what is the natural journey that you see. You don't want to have the consumer going through 7 different text messages in order to find out ultimately where your conversation is or where your location is. So here it's really about bringing that consumer through the shortest time or shortest conversation and still bring that optimum on relation on feedback. So it's really, again, as said, it's really about identifying your purpose and identifying your ideal roadmap. And from that ideal roadmap, you will see ultimately that it differs very much from what your original assumption was to what the final result is. And hence, in the measure phase as well, it's still this iteration element. This is always coming back in a bot. And this is why what we advise as well to a lot of companies is don't tie yourself into a contract with an agency whereby for every iteration you're locked up to the sky and you need to pay, you need to fill in your ticket and so on. It's really about creating that credibility or that flexibility that you have for yourself in order to do those adjustments. And this is why it's really crucial to have the in-house skill as well.
I hope that helps you out, our anonymous attendee. We have one more question coming in from Piyush, who's wondering, we wish to generate leads through chatbots and then the user can continue to interact with humans on your platform till the time the sale is closed. It looks like a decent solution, but the problem is that WhatsApp doesn't allow re-engagement messages and follow-up is essential in the sales cycle. So how can we address this?
What we try to do as much as possible, if one channel doesn't work, there are multiple solutions that you have. I mean, you need to find ultimately, again, it always comes back to what is your initial objective, and then basically come back to a customer journey that the consumer has. Now, if WhatsApp doesn't bring you that solution, you need to find a different solution in ultimately to convert that consumer. And whether you do that on the website itself, where you bring the consumer to the website and you engage on the website, don't try to force a certain behavior which you know you cannot measure. It's as simple as that.
Cool. I hope that helps you out, Piyush. So Drishti, shall we begin with the bot building demo? The rest of the questions will be answered towards the end of the webinar, so hold tight. Drishti?
Hi, I guess I'm facing some issues with my internet. Please bear with me. Okay, so as we begin, Piyush, I think that as we go ahead with the demo, I'll be answering your questions on how you can automate your campaigns well. And I hope till the end of the webinar, you will have answers to all your questions. So as I'm going to show the demo, I would request you all as well to register on app.engati and we can build the bot together. So I have dropped the link in the comment or the chat section below. So you can all go ahead and register on Engati. So when you log into the portal, you'll be able to see this screen at first, the home screen, where if you have created bots on Engati, you will be able to see the whole list. And if not, then you will have a main button where it will show go ahead and create a bot. So as you all still register, I'll just give a brief introduction on how Engati helps in the bot building. So like Jerome mentioned, the steps that we have, when we come to implementation, we need to have a design, a conversational flow and a design on how the bot conversations or the messages would go ahead with. So Engati will help that journey, like it will help you on that journey much more easily. So what we have is a conversational flow designer, those are the paths. So it is analogous to the flow chart that you create for your product or your business, where there are multiple functions that you have, and each function will have multiple blocks, which are the nodes that are available. And so when you go about creating such a flow chart in a similar way, you can create a bot on Engati. So I hope you guys have registered and we will start with the bot building together. So here I will go ahead and add a new bot, which would be my WhatsApp chatbot. Oh, sorry, chatbot. And it would be around shopping and marketing. So when you go ahead and create a bot, there are two options that you have. One, that you can create a bot from scratch, and second, where you can go ahead and explore our bot store where we have 150 plus templates for you to choose from.
Very cool.
So let's start with the bot building. And okay, now that my bot is created right here, you'll be able to see a card that has been newly created. So here, as we go to the build section, in the left panel, you will be able to see two sections. One is the smart responses, where you can add all the repetitive questions that the end users might ask. And the second one is the paths. So the path is the white canvas that you see where you can create your whole conversational design or the flow. There will be some predefined paths that will be already available. And then if you are creating new functions, you can create paths accordingly and get started. And the blocks that we have are the nodes that I was talking about. So you can send messages, you can send options, you can send multiple multimedia, you can request data from the end users, and also the plethora of integrations that we provide.
Hmm.
So Aish, let's get started.
Let's get started.
So Aish, let's assume that you are the person who is going to have a conversation with the bot. So what would you expect as the first greeting message?
Well, since it is the holiday season, I'd expect something, well, I'd really like something more fun and a little bit festive. Maybe something like a happy holidays, Aish. How can we help you?
Yes. Okay. So I'll just start with saying happy holidays. And when I'm asking that, how can I help you? Maybe I want to show some options that are already available in my bot. So, what options do you generally choose from when you're doing online shopping?
Hmm. When I'm online shopping, what I'd like to see is I'd like to know what's on sale. I'd like to see what's new. I'd like to browse through the different categories, things like that.
Yeah, so these are the options that we have, the sale, what's new, and maybe some other options like tracking orders, maybe
Hmm.
track my order.
Oh, yes, that
Keep
would be
it that
super
way.
helpful.
And yeah, so these are the options that we'll provide to the end user when they come to the bot. And now, suppose let's go ahead and show or display the products that will be on sale.
Mhm.
So, as that is a different function, I create a different path, which I'll name it as sale. So here what I want to do is all the products that are on display, I want to show what the product is actually, and I want to add some description or heading and also the button. So I'll go ahead and use the carousel.
You know, what I really like about carousels is that it provides a really interactive way to display your products to your customers. The images can be clickable and you can add a heading with it and a description plus a CTA along with these images. Also, the layout for the display cards can also be customized. Whether you want your customers, in this case me, to view the product one at a time or through infinite scrolling, that's all in your hands.
That's right. So here I'll be adding the most um, famous things, I think, that
Yeah,
people would like to buy. Yeah.
the essentials.
So here, as you can see, with the CTAs that we add, there are multiple options that you can play around with. One is that you can have a flow that can be continued. Other is the URL. So if somebody clicks on buy now, if you want to redirect them to a different page that they can buy or go ahead, so you can do that. And also contact number if you are adding, if you want them to directly call you for that. So even that can be done. What I would right now do is just select add an attribute product because I want to know that which products are the users going ahead with.
Mhm.
I'll just add attribute and say candles, and for now these are the only products on sale. Aish, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Right. So, Aish, I would just assume that if you're going for sale and if you're browsing and if you're clicking on buy now, that means, like as Jerome suggested, the lead is getting converted into a consumer, right? So
Mhm.
that would be a good time for the business to know who actually the customer is.
Ah, you want to get to know me.
Yes, so I'll use the request user data node for that.
You know, it's incredible what you can do with the request user data node. One thing to note is that it can also be used for tasks such as order tracking.
That's right. So I'll add for your name and maybe if I need your email ID or phone number. So I'll just go ahead with say please enter your email ID. And here I have different validation types that I can choose from.
Mhm.
So I'll just go ahead with say email ID as my attribute. Please enter a valid email ID. Yep. So here I have requested from the end user the data that I would want, and I'll just, with the drag and drop option that we have, I'll just connect these nodes. So this is my flow that is ready. And now as a business, Aish, I would want to store this information somewhere so that I know that you were trying to buy these things, and then maybe I can integrate it with payment gateways or redirect to the website or maybe call you back or anything of that sort. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I would like to store this in a Google Sheet.
So, Google Sheet integration is one of the native integrations that Engati offers. We also provide integrations for Google Calendar, which you can use to book appointments, Salesforce, Zapier, and now Freshdesk, our newest addition.
That's right. So here I'll just connect my Google account so that it can access the sheets that I have. I'm guessing.
While this is going on, Jerome, we wanted to know you use Google Sheets integration. How's your experience been so far?
So we use it actually in a slightly more complicated manner. We draw the data out of it. So what we have is, as we are currently going a little bit to the next level in terms of bot. What we're trying to do is we're using the bot more or less as a virtual interviewer. And with that, what we're drawing out of the Google Sheets and the integration on the Google Sheets is really the consumer data, so the customer data. So we have standard flows, which we can adjust by simply changing the data within the Google Sheet, and we have a change in terms of overall flow. So for instance, each of these flows has a specific code. And what we use it with is within the Google Sheet, it then references to the various codes and changes a new path in terms of the dialogue journey. So effectively, for every individual user, the conversation journey is completely different because the codes are completely different and they're all drawn out of the Excel or out of the Google Sheet.
That's right. And I've seen how that is done, and it's incredible what you are taking out of Engati. I mean, the boundaries that we knew, bot implementation has taken them to the next level. So that's really nice. And somebody bless
We
my
like to
internet.
experiment. No, I think what is really the benefit on the platform so far, what we've seen is not just on WhatsApp, and I'm sorry for that, Dristi, but really for us, the key choice was really you build a conversation in one platform, in one channel, and ultimately it's available in 4, 5, 6 different channels as well. And you can use the same conversation. So it's flexible in that sense. There's a lot of platforms out there, but the biggest problem that you have is for each channel, you tend to have to rebuild your entire conversation flow.
Right.
And here it's really like you build it once, and then you have multiple channels which are available, which you can engage with your consumer. And that really creates this level of flexibility that we were really eager for.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Jerome.
My pleasure.
Great. So now that my internet's all good, we can go ahead. So with Google Sheets, like Jerome mentioned, there are multiple functions that we can do. So what you can do is with the lead generation, you can add data to your Google Sheet. You can search from the Google Sheet and retrieve it back to the bot. And also you can update a row in your Google Sheet if you have added. So here I'll go to the add row. This is the sheet that I have created where here this is the lead generation. Here I will be storing name, email ID and product of the user. So I'll just select the spreadsheet, which is the store, the worksheet, the lead generation, and here I can see that the columns have been added. So here I'll just add the name, the email ID and the product that the user might select and save. That's done.
Oh, that was so quick.
Yeah. So here what we have is the basic flow that is already created, and we can go ahead and deploy this solution on WhatsApp.
So while Drishti is about to deploy, we have another question for you, Jerome. As a longtime user of Engati, what's your favorite feature of the platform?
For me, it comes back to the flexibility that the platform has. It's super easy to use. Yeah, I mean, you can build conversations in only a couple of minutes, but at the same time, it offers this flexibility, and it's really it really takes this multitasking into mind as well. In terms of the consumer is never linked or limited to one channel, and that's really for us the key flexibility on that one. And then, yeah, we started playing a little bit with the overall coding and so on as well. And that's more for next level. And it gave us a lot of flexibility. And what we really enjoyed when we started pushing a little bit on the boundaries is the engagement with the R&D team. Because after a couple of questions, all of a sudden we were at the table with the R&D team who were super interested and engaged with us to really bring it to the next level. And that's what we're still doing. So that was super cool.
Very cool.
Great. So what I have just done is that with the part that we had where we had the menu, I've just linked that menu to the sale part that we have created right here. So once somebody clicks on the option, they can go ahead and choose the product that they want to buy and then the lead generation flow. So let's go ahead with the deploy.
So as you can see, we not only offer deployment options across WhatsApp, we actually support 13 additional channels, including Messenger, Telegram, Slack, Teams, and on your own website and mobile apps. So last week, Engati conducted a poll on LinkedIn on which mobile conversation platform is the most relevant for you to engage with your customers. And over 83% of you all said WhatsApp. So Drishti, the people have spoken. Let's deploy over WhatsApp.
Roger that, Aish. Great. So now going ahead with the deployment, you first select the provider that you have for your WhatsApp. We have Kalera in this case. And you also log into the WhatsApp provider portal that you have, and we can go parallelly there. So what you need is just the four fields that you have to fill: the phone number, the API key, SID, that is a security identifier, and the client URL where the messages should be exchanged. So we'll get all this information from the WhatsApp portal itself. So here you can go to channels. As we are using WhatsApp, we go to manage. And here we go to the configuration section. You can just add your number from right here. This will be the WhatsApp approved number that you have. Please add the country code and no other special characters would be required. And here you can edit the incoming URL so that we know that this is the bot that we want to deploy on WhatsApp. So you just add the incoming URL and click on send. So one down, three to go. Going to the developers option for the other three fields that we want to fill. So here I'll just copy the API key and add it right here. The SID would be available in the same API key that you have. So here you can copy the security identifier and paste it back. Here is the client URL that we have. So here you just have to add v1. Again, the SID, that is the identifier, and as a medium of messages, you add messages and you save these details. And
Wow.
your details are saved.
That was super quick and super simple, Drishti. If anyone in the audience requires any additional support, our YouTube channel has many tutorials on how to deploy, and we also provide step-by-step guides on both our documentations page and on our blog.
That's right. So before we begin with the WhatsApp demo, if there are any questions around the deployment or how the functionalities can be used, please drop them in the Q&A section below and we'll be answering it right now.
I actually have one from Piyush. So his question is, you've mentioned about WhatsApp marketing automation using WhatsApp. Can we do drip campaigns for events and webinars?
Right. So WhatsApp has multiple options for you to go ahead with. The one that you currently use or directly having a conversation, those are session messages, and others are the template messages. So if you want to go ahead with the transactional messages, or just drop something about the events that are coming up, or some of these promotional messages, you can use template messages to get started with that conversations. And as WhatsApp also started with the interactive buttons, so then you can have the whole conversational flow going ahead. So with the template messages, you can go ahead and just ping the user, and then it would go with the whole bot conversational flow in the session messages. Hope that answers your question.
Hope that helps, Piyush, and we're really looking forward to what you do with our WhatsApp bots. So we have another question coming in from Gordon. He asks, what languages does Engati support?
Oh, so Engati supports more than 50 plus languages, which are all the popular ones, including German, Greek, Spanish, even all local languages, including Hindi, Malayalam, Tamil, and also languages which have RTL, like Arabic and Hebrew. We also have RTL support inbuilt with Engati.
All right, let's see what else is coming in. Okay, so we have Brad asking, how can we make broadcast more effective?
Right. So I'll just explain how the broadcasts work. So, like I said, if you want to go ahead where it has not been a session and you want to just drop a message out of the blue to the user where it has been a long time, then you will have to use template messages. But if it's in the 24-hour session that we have on WhatsApp, then you can use Engati's broadcast feature as well, and you can send them reminders accordingly. So I'll just share my screen again and I can show how you can set up a broadcast. So here what we have is the basic broadcast that would be sent to all users at the same time, and also the campaigns that we have. So yeah. So here is the create new broadcast option that you have. I'll just name it some messages. Okay. And here you can send a message, you can send message with options if you require, or a complete path if you want to send. So here you can do a send message where you can just say, hey, just dropping by to say hello. You can create different segments of users if required, and you can add target channels as we have deployed currently only on WhatsApp and website. So we can select that, and this is done. And then you can have the option of sending it right now, or you can schedule it for a time, so that suppose if I say it should be 8:43 p.m. and we can publish this. So then the end user would all the end users who have been selected in that part would receive the message.
We also have another question wondering if from Pete wondering if the broadcast feature works on all channels.
Broadcast feature is currently not supported on all the channels, and it has restrictions over what the session has been. So that is the restriction by the chat platforms itself, but it's completely supported on WhatsApp and mobile application.
All right, one more question from Ronak. Hi Ronak. Can Engati help one build a WhatsApp-based chatbot with human takeover and a CRM from manual chat after human takeover?
Like I understand the question that we have, so definitely Engati can help you build the complete WhatsApp chatbot. And also with Engati, if you sign up, what we do is that we can help you get the WhatsApp business APIs very, very easily, so that it helps you a lot with the approval process. And then we have the live chat feature where you can have agent or the support function completely added to Engati, and they can respond to all queries coming in from multiple channels that you have. And yes, we do have native CRM integrations, as Aish had mentioned. And if you want to integrate with a different CRM as well, the Engati platform is flexible enough, and that can be done. Yeah.
We also had a follow-up for this question about asking about live chat.
Live chat is the new functionality or the enhanced functionality that we have with Engati. So you can completely set up your whole function, all support functions. You can add multiple agents according to the categories that you have. You can set up contextual routing. You can set up working hours for all your agents, and you can have feedback nodes. And the measure part that Jerome was talking about, that is extensive with live chat. So that's about it.
It's a very cool platform, everyone. I suggest you check it out. All right, we have a question from Mark. Hey, can you use layman language for someone who is just a beginner here for building a bot? I could not understand what a path is. Drishti, I think you should take this one.
Yeah, okay, I am so sorry about that. So I'll repeat what I meant about paths. So suppose you are creating a flow chart for your product. So your product has different functionalities. Say one is a login menu, one is a sign up path, one is where the product gets checked out, and one is the support function where people can just hover over the menu and go ahead. So suppose this is your application that you have, and the similar design could be replicated on your bot, right? So all these flow charts that you would create, so the flow chart would generally have a start node, then you will have a decision node, maybe that if they are coming via these channels or what they are asking for, and then you would create different blocks and create the whole conversational flow or the functionality flow. The whole flow is analogous to what a path would be on Engati, and yeah, that's about what a path would be. I hope now it would be better. I apologize.
Thank you so much for the question, Mark. If there are any more questions about the lingo, we do have a very extensive documentations page, so I really suggest you check it out. And another question is, like Siri or Alexa, they have an AI which transforms our voice modulation into words. Can the bots have an audio chat? This is coming from Yash. Thank you for the question, Yash.
Yes. Hi, Yash. So we do provide audio or voice chat options on Engati, where you can like talk to the bot, and the bot can respond back with voice and with text as well. So that is covered with Engati.
And we have one from Frank. Is there integration to MailChimp for email marketing?
Currently, we do not have a native integration, but definitely we can go ahead and look if we want to add that as well. Yeah,
Hope that helps you, Frank.
we have Mailchimp via Zapier, so that is something that can help you definitely. Yeah.
All right, so that's all the questions we have for now. If there are any more, we'll cover them a little bit later on. So let's go ahead with the demo.
Yes. Well, here as you can see, I just had sent a message, and I already got a campaign which was scheduled for 8:43. So here it was getting sent, and I got the campaign message in this way. So as in when you schedule these campaigns or your broadcasts, so this will go to the end users whenever you want them to. So I'll start the conversation again saying, "Oh, hi." Yeah, Aish. Happy holidays, Aish.
Thank you. I got
Okay.
both of my messages.
So here I'm opting for sale. Okay, candles
Oh,
or
wow.
Christmas stocking. What do you want to buy, Aish?
Right now, I'm kind of short on my tea lights, so candles, please.
Okay. And here we go. So here it will then ask me for my name, and then it will go to the lead generation flow, and it will get stored to Google Sheets.
Hmm.
Hmm.
It's amazing how Ingati chatbots with WhatsApp can connect people. It's really
Right?
incredible.
I'll just say Drishti for now. Okay. Work from home makes you miss internet, right?
Oh, definitely. It became an essential for me. So cool. Thank you, Drishti, for the demo of the WhatsApp bot. It's really incredible.
Right. So we'll have the questions coming in till the whole flow goes ahead. So if there are any other questions,
We have
please.
one from Kevin who's
Hmm.
wondering what the campaign feature is about.
Right. So what happens is that with the campaigns, it can be more around cart abandonment. So right now, if I see that somebody is selecting buy now, but when I'm asking for the lead generation flow right here, they have dropped off. So what I can see is that they did not complete the whole process of buying the complete product and it is still there in the cart. So what I can do is with the campaign feature right here, just add I'll just create a campaign for a reminder first. So here in the campaigns, I'll create a campaign for reminder and I'll save this. Even here you can send a message or a path if required. So here you can just add say, hey, um, please complete your order or anything that you would want. You can add a delay of say 5 minutes and you can also select days on which you want to deliver. So if you want that only on weekdays these messages should be going, so you can select Monday to Friday and or any days if that's okay with you, and you can publish this. Okay, and now I go to build. So what I have is that a reminder campaign has been created. Now I have to decide where I want to shoot these reminders to the end user. So first I'll add a subscribe to campaign node, and this will be added where somebody is clicking on buy now but is not completing the lead generation flow. So this would be
Mhm.
before I request data. I'll add them here. Okay.
While Dirsh is doing this, let's continue on with the questions. Leave them in the Q&A section of this call.
Yeah. So here you can subscribe them to the campaign. So if they do not complete the flow, they will get the reminder. And suppose if they have completed and it's getting added to the Google Sheets, you can unsubscribe them from the same reminder that they would have received.
Mhm.
That's right. Okay, I hope that answers your question.
All right, let's give it a couple of minutes. I think there's some questions incoming.
Yep. Yeah, and as you can see that with WhatsApp, I was having a conversation. So all my details got stored in this Google Sheet lead generation, where the product that I had selected was candle, email ID, and my name. So now I know that Drishti or Aish was interested in the product candles. And if I have other phone numbers or anything else, then I can maybe just call them up, or you just have a lead or a consumer created and then maybe you can follow up.
Very cool. All right, we have a question for Jerome. Jonathan is wondering what topics will your course cover?
The course covers very simple. It goes in depth into the bot implementation formula. So after that, you should have at least a very good framework in order to have a processed approach to building a bot. So any questions then following on to Dan, you simply raise it to us and we'll start the discussion on that.
All right. Hope that helps you, Jonathan. Um, 1 second. All right, we have a question. We have someone wondering, what's the 24-hour session thing on WhatsApp?
Right. So just because WhatsApp wants to control the spam flow of any marketing campaigns that people would want to do, so WhatsApp has this restriction where in the 24 hours session of the user's last message, post that any bot cannot send a message to the user unless it's a template message. So these are all the session messages that you have. So within these 24 hours, you can all send the broadcast and campaign messages to the end users, which is in that speculated time. And after that, if you would want to interact, then you can go ahead with the template message.
Hope this helps. Another question for Jerome. How did you build chatbots that can take interviews?
um, that's basically our in-house solution, so I won't tell you that. Ultimately, it's taking the NLP to the max, and it's really building in a flow which allows you to not only raise the question, but then also respond to the reply of the panelists. And here we're really looking at any means how we can tie that back to the consumer. So it's explaining the entire flow would take a little bit too long, but ultimately what it does is when you now look at the bot as is, it is mainly well, it's set up in a way whereby the bot responds on the basis of a question. What we've done is we've turned it around, which created and required some new thinking in our part, and in Ngati's part as well. So this is still what we're improving and further developing on. But it raises the question, then takes into account a scope of answers which are captured within the entities and through natural language processing. And then on the basis of that, the bot replies with a follow-up questioning and ultimately leading to further responses from the consumer. And then what we've tied in is an AI solution which ultimately analyzes all the data and further takes into account the sentiment, but also the emotion of the response, which is quite an interesting solution so far. If you're interested in obtaining this, we have an app online. It's on the gobright.ai, but you need a dedicated code in order to access it. But it's something that we're launching at this moment into the market.
Thank you so much, Jerome. And one more question for you. How did Ngati's platform help you?
Well, I've more or less just said so. What I very much appreciate about it Ngati is we started initially discussing with Dristi. She was very supportive, and then we brought it to the next level, and then the entire company, basically the entire R&D department, woke up as well and saw how interesting it was what we're trying to do. Now, I think customer service is really top of mind, and that was key for us, together with the various channels that were available and the flexibility on the channels. And that gave us a solution which we're currently marketing, whereby we have a web-based solution, a solution on Facebook, a solution on our own Apple app, so iOS app, and Google. So we've created a solution which is really multi-flexible and which brings us the results and the responses from the panelists that we require. So that's it's great.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing, Jerome. If there are any further questions, please feel free to drop an email at contact@ngati.com. We'll leave this email in the chat section of this webinar. So thank you all for attending today. If we missed out on anything, again, feel free to contact us. And if you're interested in learning more about creating an effective WhatsApp chatbot for marketing automation, be sure to check out the links in the chat section. And now, let's find out how many references you caught. Feel free to leave them in the chat section. In total, there are about 11 references. Anyone? Oh, Gordon got 9. Anyone else? So congratulations, Gordon, for getting all of those references. And a copy of our ebook will be waiting for you in the inbox. And actually, everyone will be getting a copy of our exclusive ebook, The Evolution of Customer Experience. So as a token of appreciation. So thank you all for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing what kind of bots you create with our WhatsApp platform.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope this was a helpful session. Thank you so much, Jerome, for being the wonderful guest and giving us all these insights. And definitely check out the course that Bot Implementation is offering. It's wonderful, and it will definitely help you all in your conversational journeys.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. If there are any questions, please email us at contact@ngati.com, and we will all get back to you as fast as possible. Thank you so much.
and enjoy the book. And thank you for spending your Tuesday with us.
Yes. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Stay safe, stay happy. Bye bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.